Elsa and Barron, welcome to Reroot.
I had maybe camped one time before I met you, and I cried. For us, there was no other option. We were not going to stay in the city.
Yeah.
We were done.
Can we just be honest?
Yeah.
It beat me up. It beat me up so bad.
Did you throw up?
Oh, yeah.
I felt like I was so stuck and there was no way out.
I have felt the need to prove myself constantly.
I understand why people don't talk about it.
I think that chapter will never be closed. It was very painful. It was very embarrassing. I felt like a failure.
Do you guys have fear around the birth?
Oh, there's just so much to this story.
Pod number 2 here at the chalet. We're gonna go get the guests. Hello!
Good morning. Come on in.
Hi.
Hi, Barron.
It's great to meet you.
Oh, it's so cool to meet you guys in person. I just got all the nerves. Elsa and Barron, welcome to Reroot. We are so incredibly honored that you've made the drive up to us here in Colorado, and I'm so excited to share your story and your hearts with our audience. So just starting with a bunch of gratitude and thanks for being here.
Thank you,
Well,
guys.
thank you.
We're
That
stoked.
means a ton.
This
And
is
I'm
like not
weirded out that you're grateful. So
Why?
No, I
Oh
know
my
you.
gosh.
It's. I'm appreciative of it. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. It means a lot to us too. So.
A lot.
You guys are a huge inspiration. Like you're really sure we did van life, but you guys have taken it to a new level of whoa, they're out there.
we did van life, and honestly we did, like, we, we're roughing it in some aspects, but you guys 5 or 6 years in a 13 foot
13. Don't give them an extra foot.
Yeah,
That's a big
okay.
deal.
And it is a big deal. You had so little resources. What from that era of your life changed your ideas around like happiness, what we need in life? Like, what did you take away from 6 years of living with so little?
That's a really nice question. I think it was deep for me, especially because this was kind of your original vision.
Yeah.
This was easy and fun for you.
Well, not only like it was brutal and
Yeah.
hard a lot of times, but it was also like felt like a natural progression almost.
When we bought the Scamp, as we were driving back 12 hours from
Is
Northern
Scamp a
Michigan,
brand?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I
Okay,
kind of don't want
Do
to
they
say
sponsor
it.
you
No.
or what? I feel like you
No.
guys have done so much for that brand.
I know, and they're
Come
kind
on,
of old
Scam.
school.
No.
Let's get in
Sorry,
touch with
you
Scam.
touched my leg like that. Don't go there. But yeah, they're just kind of old school. So like they don't understand a more like technological marketing,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're like doing fine.
Yeah.
Like they're selling
Yeah.
plenty of scamps. So
Yeah.
they're not,
I
like,
wonder
tripping
why.
about it. Yeah, there are some like extraneous variables that they may not be considering. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
But as we were
Our
driving it,
trailer.
yeah, that's what we had been
Yeah.
calling
Okay.
it.
It sounds even worse, to be honest.
I know. Well, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It was designed after a septic tank. Like,
oh wow.
the people that came up with the initial design for that style of trailer, he was like a septic tank dude.
Cool.
And then he was like, well, these molds could be useful to live in.
Oh nice.
You know?
Or maybe not living?
Well, no, but like
Traveling.
recreationally
For a
spend your
week
time.
camping
man.
trip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of rough to live in.
But sorry, going back to your question, what were the like things that we learned, or like how did it reframe our perception of happiness almost?
You, as we were driving it back,
Oh yeah.
you looked in the rearview mirror and knew that we had made the best decision ever.
I just
And-
felt totally liberated.
Dude, I had the same experience.
Yeah.
We literally started this tea company, and we're at a turning point of, where do we spend our money? How do we grow it? We had it scaled up in Toronto. How do we expand to different markets, Montreal, Vancouver?
Your what company again? Sorry.
Our first tea company,
Tea company,
Chaiwala.
okay.
And I said to Beck, like, let's live in a van. And this was when van life was like, Volkswagens, and
Sure.
it wasn't Sprinter vans and heated floors. And Beck just looked at me like, yeah, like, let's do it. It'll be fun. And I'll never forget when we were driving that thing back, I felt like this immense sense of freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just have felt like pathologically crippled by like the trappings of society for most of my life. And like growing up in kind of like a suburban environment where I really had to travel to get to nature, that didn't like work with me very well. So then to have our house like right behind us and know that we don't have to pay rent and we don't have to like outrun anything, it was like, we did it. you know, like
were you always drawn to nature? Did you do like camping trips and stuff?
But they were just like less approachable.
Yeah.
You know, like in Kansas City, you had to, like I spent a lot of time in Arkansas and a lot of time in Colorado, and then a lot of time like at different lakes and like neighborhood creeks and that kind of thing.
Were your parents like outdoorsy or?
Kinda, like they were supportive of it and stuff, but they're not like backpackers or anything, you know? Like I kind of had to learn those things on my own, but over time they've gotten like more and more geeked on nature, so that's cool.
Yeah, I see your dad's in the videos.
Yeah.
They bought property just across the street from us.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
nice.
Yeah, they'll be with
after
us.
we did.
Because that's my biggest question about living in the middle of nowhere and having a baby. For us, it was like we live in the middle of nowhere, but we aren't off grid. And so we already have so many more luxuries than you do. But the idea of not having someone to just support me with my baby was so scary. So then we sold out. We moved to the city. It was
You did not sell out?
No,
Did you sell the property?
No.
The cabin?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go there when it's nice weather.
Yeah.
But-
I think we'll still spend like 6 months a year there. And like I very much want Frankie growing up in the dirt, you know, and in that life.
Yeah.
It's just I also just needed support. You know,
Sure.
as a mom.
Of course.
That was
Yeah.
something I just tuned into and was like,
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's cool that you did pivot and then like force something that wasn't feeling right too, you know?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really scary, especially as a creator, when you've created like, okay, we're the trailer people and this is working and you know, and then it's like some people do get a little stuck and are like, I you know, we do know of people who like pretend to van life almost, you know, just to make content. And it's like,
Which
that
is
was
tight.
never, hey, like,
All right, guys, it's my bedtime routine. Get out and go into the hotel.
it's like not for us, you know, like I just couldn't show up.
We
like
were
that,
so obsessed with not doing that. Like, I think it was because it was our first home.
Yeah.
And we genuinely loved our van. It really felt like home. But, you know, we'd be invited over to a friend's place and they'd be like, we have an extra room. We're like, nah, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have everything in arm's reach.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I feel like I keep talking. I'm just
You're
excited.
doing great.
I'm just excited.
Well, you are the talkative one.
I know.
I think that doesn't come across on our channel because
No.
I'm the videographer. I've been in video, and so it's natural for me to talk. It took a while to get you to be
on
comfortable at
camera.
all on camera, but
I have no ability to act whatsoever.
Right.
But that's what I love about your content, guys. It is very authentic. And it's cool to see like a big burly like axe swinging dude like super
Told you he has a man
Strange.
crush. He's like, ah!
well, super like honest and authentic on screen. Because
Yeah.
people get weird on camera, and you guys just seem like you are who you are.
Yeah.
in real life, we have our friends because of Barron. I'm so shy and so quiet.
Not exclusively.
You're just so social.
Yeah.
So it's very natural for you to speak.
So how did
Yeah.
it come to be that you picked up a camera and started filming?
I was a kid, you know, and so that was fun. I've actually had my first YouTube channel since 2006.
What?
Yeah.
Was it the painting stuff you would go
No,
into?
that was still this channel, and that
Oh,
started
okay.
in 2014. But
Okay.
in 2006, it's still up there. You can find it. You can find some of my old videos. I've privated a lot of them. I can feel my face getting red. Don't go look for it.
Everybody go find it.
Don't worry, we'll just put an overlay on top here.
Might be able to monetize it going
But I
forward.
think I just breezed by the Vine days. I think Vine would have been so amazing for me if I had known about it, but I wasn't very much of a geek until you came into my life and taught me how to learn things like
Let's
that.
talk about when Barron came into your life, because you sussed her out at some festival or something.
Firework
No, that'd be
party.
tight. We were on the mean streets of Lawrence, Kansas, and I
4th of July. We were walking toward each other down the sidewalk, and he stopped me and my friends and asked if he could flirt with us.
What?
You
That's
and
your
your
opening
friend.
line?
it was.
Can I flirt with you?
I was like hyper tactical at that point.
Yeah.
And what'd you say?
I was like, I think I asked if you
Of
mind if
course.
we blatantly flirt with you guys.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Wow.
And they were like, no, that's cool. And I was like, cool.
Yeah. We've been together ever since.
Yeah.
Wow. How old were you guys when that went down?
I was 20.
Okay.
And I was like 22.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and you guys have a similar story of not getting married for a long time either.
No, we're not married still.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We just did 2 years ago because we're building a property together, and if we had to go to the hospital for one of
Yeah.
each other than we could go to the hospital.
Just getting the government
assets
like
and-
involved in our relationship didn't seem super useful. Like
Yeah.
we didn't really need a contract about it.
Yeah.
Like we're plenty spiritual, but not like particularly religious. So it's not like didn't like give us anything extra.
Yeah.
Like we knew what we had. It's not like we needed some other validation.
100%.
Why have you guys not?
Exact same reason.
Really?
Cool.
Exact same reason. It was like, I didn't even ever care about getting engaged or anything. And then he surprised me one time and I was like, that was really cool. Like, that's great. I'm glad we're taking that next step, even though it didn't change anything.
That was
for
10
us.
years
Like,
ago.
Yeah. And I think genuinely, if you have that kind of partnership, I feel more married to Eamon than I think a lot of married people are.
Yeah.
And when you know how to navigate a 14-foot trailer or a van together and a business together, like that's some hard stuff.
Yeah.
That
For
is some
sure.
hard stuff. How do you guys go from, are you in an apartment in Kansas City to the trailer? How is that transition?
Yeah, and so Barron was saying
Relationship-wise.
he's got this passion for outdoors. Where is that living with you?
I was not that.
You were
I
into
don't-
making
I-
videos.
I don't think I had maybe camped one time before I met you. What's so funny?
I'm just thinking of our first
was-
time camping.
I was
We're just
not a
like
nature
ripping
girl.
cigs and listening to Bob Marley on the way down to Arkansas, you know?
It was new to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that when we got the Scamp, even our first night in the Scamp, we had to park in a Walmart parking lot on the way back with it, and I cried in the
Because we were
parking
just
lot.
like an hour south of Canada is where we bought it. And like it wasn't roadworthy and the lights weren't working. So we had to drive like we were in a video game to get home without being spotted. And
And were you filming this?
no.
No,
Something about when you're filming though, and it's a rough situation, it feels a little better.
Yeah.
yes,
You know?
Well,
it
because there's
does.
like something that can come of it.
Yes.
Whereas
This is a
like
fun story.
otherwise it's just terrifying.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So there's the lesson, guys. If you're having a rough go, just film it, even if you don't have a
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But also, that's the hardest time to pick up the camera at the same
Yes.
time.
Mhm.
Like
That
when we
was a
got
big
the
adjustment
Scamp
for us.
stock.
Is when early days we would like, something bad would happen, and I'd like be filming, and she's like authentically like super upset,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you'd be like, "Turn it off."
Yeah. Of course.
Which is a natural response.
Yeah.
Because it's so vulnerable.
Mhm.
But like those are the most useful moments.
Mhm.
The best
But-
story.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know. Like when we got this, well, there's sometimes you got to dance around legality a little bit too,
Mm.
you know, and then that gets to where you don't really want to film it.
Mhm.
Not that we ever do anything illegal ever in our lives,
Yeah,
but
us
if we were
neither.
to, you wouldn't want to film it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I wanted to like hit on like the people around us in our like community, because living as rural as we do, you had kind of like alluded to that.
Yeah.
I thought it was like really counterintuitive as how much community we quickly established,
Mm.
thinking that wouldn't be possible.
Mhm.
Because like when we lived in the city in an apartment or in a house, whatever, we lived in a house for over a year and didn't know our neighbors one time. Like,
Yeah, it's amazing when you're out in the country, even where we are, which is not nowhere near as remote as you are, but people are willing to help
yeah,
because you need help,
right.
right? This guy knows how to do electric. This guy knows how to do
Mhm.
plumbing.
Right.
Call Gary down the road. And it's amazing that people come out of the woodwork to help.
Totally.
I also think you bring it out, and perhaps you're that in your relationship. Like, I think I could live in the woods and have met no one.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like hermit. Eamon's like, oh, I went down the road, met this guy. Oh, I'm gonna have dinner with this guy.
What else do you
inviting
do
all
everyone
day?
We're on the
over.
same
Like,
program.
okay. We're just around a table one night, and all of our friends up north are like 60 plus. And Gary literally looks at us, you need some new friends. I was like, where are we going to find young people up here? You know,
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
like,
know
Gary,
if
I'm
this is-
trying every day I'm out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Now that we're back on the road, it has become even more apparent how important it is to pack lightly. I know we have Frankie, and so it looks like we did not pack light or minimalist at all because of all her gadgets and strollers and things. But we packed fairly light. And the reason we were able to do that is because of Unbound Merino. Genuinely, merino wool has saved us in all of our backpacker years and continues to pull through. It's temperature regulating, so it's good for Colorado and Hawaii and Australia. It's moisture wicking, and for whatever reason, it just never smells. So you can wear these pieces. I have a blue tank top I'm always wearing, the socks I'm always wearing, wear them over and over and over and over again. I wore them to CrossFit the other day and then wore them out to dinner. It's kind of embarrassing, but that's how it works when you're a minimalist and you're traveling.
If I was wearing socks, they would be Unbound Merino. I used them literally at the gym yesterday. And that was the 4th time in a row I used them working out. Unbound's clothing allows travelers to pack lighter, save on checked baggage fees, and spend more time focusing on creating travel memories.
Head over to their website, unboundmerino.com, where new customers can use our code REROOT for 15% off their order.
We promise you'll love it. Try some out for yourself.
Actually, I just want to say, I also love that they're a Canadian company and they're founded by 3 lifelong friends who were just traveling and needed better quality things. I love supporting the business when I know the story behind the owner. So shout out to the 3 friends who created Unbound Merino. We love your stuff.
Steve and Tom. That's not their names.
I know.
That was a huge tactic in our scamp life too. At campsites and everything, Barron would go out of his way to make sure that he said hi to everyone around us.
And like see if they need help with anything or whatever.
And because then they kind of had our back.
Yeah,
if we would
it's
go
like
to
mutually
town.
beneficial.
Yeah.
Well, I always say that, like, even though it's uncomfortable and maybe not natural for you, it's so much nicer to have that relationship and be like, hey, I need a cup of sugar. Like, that's so lost.
Yeah.
You know, and people genuine in their heart want to help others.
Right.
And just want community. Like if
And
we're
want
seeking
community.
it, they want it too.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And it
It's just
seems,
the
it feels like
story.
inaccessible, which is so strange with the internet. You'd think we would feel so close because we've never been more able to contact one another, but it feels more distant. And so moving out to where we are, that was something that I thought we were going to have to like have all of our friends move in next door to
Create our own.
to like build it ourselves. But it quickly sort of manifested without us really like trying for that.
I love that.
Yeah. But we were like there's very few people that I feel like we can't get along with too. So we're not like the most selective. Like a lot of our neighbors and stuff like maybe have different spiritual beliefs or whatever than us, or like totally different life experience. But like we can find common ground and like have a good time.
Yeah, and there's so much beauty in that. Like if we all just associate with people who have the exact same beliefs as us, what a little
We get pretty insular.
exactly.
Well, I
Little
also
bubble.
think we were just talking about this, I think with Mike, is that when you have so many options, you're actually way more selective.
True.
It's like dating. Like if you're on the internet and you've got 100,000 people that you're just swiping through, it's like, I don't like the way she smiled in that photo. Oh, I don't like, the dress she's wearing. But if you have 10 people, it's like, okay, we're going to find something to get along with.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's
You're
so
just,
true.
the human nature is you're more open to, like we hang out with the local janitor and plumber at the
Right.
cabin, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
Would I have done that in Toronto? Never.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting how that works. But yeah, all that to say that I was pleasantly surprised by that. And it's
great.
something that we've had to like learn how to navigate, is like having close knit community is kind of a new thing.
Yeah, so when you're in the trailer, you guys were doing sort of the BLM rules, like you would park up for 14 days and then move.
Yeah,
Yes.
if that.
Okay.
We were not very much I always felt so different from the van life kind of crew because we were very slow in all of our travels. We spent many months in many places. We would never stay beyond our 14 days. We always made sure to be legal. But that was just our style, especially with the trailer, because you can park it and then go explore town, go
Yeah, that's
explore
cool.
public land and everything. So we didn't move very fast ever.
And we wanted to get intimate with wherever we were. So it like felt like we had a chance to almost live there for a while.
Because the goal of us living in the scamp, kind of the main point was to figure out where we wanted to establish roots. So we spent a lot of time in every state west of, well, not a lot of time, but spent time in every state west of Kansas.
Nice.
Kansas City, our home. Yeah. And our community from home kind of followed us around, that was a great experience.
Kind of intense.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? They all got their own trailers and came
No,
around,
I
or-
wish.
Oh, they would want to stay in this trailer
No,
with
they
you?
would like come camp or whatever.
Oh, okay. That's
Especially being in Colorado, it was kind of like we were camp hosts a lot. We just always had friends with us and
Like 25 plus
group
groups from Kansas
trips.
City that
It
are
was
like,
a blast.
but don't know how to camp, and like,
Mm.
I don't know. It was kind of like dad mode to like keep
Yeah.
everybody alive.
It's
you know?
exhausting. Yeah.
well, to keep
Yeah.
ourselves alive.
Yeah.
And then have these big experiences.
Yeah.
But-
Plus the stress on all the utilities, like the water. Like
Right.
They're not helping you fill up the
No.
water.
No,
I'll
they
never
don't
forget.
bring
Solar,
water.
they're plugging in their freaking hair dryers.
Right.
Like, oh, easy, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right.
funny.
How long are you running that tap for?
I'll never forget like people coming into the van and like we've just been out and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna wash my hands, and they just like turn on the tap and start like washing their hands as though it was
I know.
unlimited.
They'd use 2.5 of our 5 gallons.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
actually, like, can you turn that off? You know, you want to be a host, but you're like,
Yeah.
no, you don't know what it feels like to run out of water,
Mhm.
Yeah.
to then
To
find
find
water,
water, to
like
carry
to fill
the
the
water.
jug.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not trivial.
No.
But like speaking of people following us around ish, when we kind of like figured out how to live nomadically and like had bought a trailer for $3,500 and like made it our house and that was working, I thought that was kind of like us acting as the scout and like blazing the trail, and then all of our friends that had dreamt of something similar, like the digital nomad sort of dream, that they would like see that and then ask us questions and like jump on board.
Mm-hmm.
But like nobody
Join
did.
us.
And that was kind of like crushing for me because I was
Sorry,
like,
your old friend, your
yeah,
normal friends.
yeah, from
'cause-
like back home. Cause like we had a big friend group that like a lot of people aspire to like travel more and like build like a sort of digital way of making money and all these things. And it felt like we were figuring out a lot of these different paths.
Mm.
And then nobody like jumped on board. And that was like kind of crushing for me for a while.
I think
Well-
what's so interesting is as people have taken the leap, it feels like everyone can do it. But the fear
Yeah.
that comes up is so incredibly strong. And I think we
Sure.
discount how incredibly brave we all were to do something different. Right.
Yeah.
And so even if you have your best friend who's like, dude, I'm making it work, the comforts of city life or the comforts of the known
Yeah.
often outweigh for most people like that fear or that
brave or naive.
mm,
You know,
Yeah.
that's
I
such a
think
blessing
naive.
too.
Yeah.
Like I'm an entrepreneur, but I think it's because I really just don't think through a lot of things
Mhm.
and just go for it, you know?
Yeah.
And if you think through like living in a 13-foot trailer,
Well, or
It
if you
sounds
see
horrible.
how haggard it was.
Yes.
yeah.
Like externally, when we look at videos, we're like, God,
Yeah.
no wonder they didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
I
Like
know.
that looks like it sucks.
Yeah.
You know,
But for us, there was no other option. We were not going to stay in the city.
Yeah.
We were done.
not to like
Why did you
knock
feel
the
done?
city, but
Yeah.
What came up or what was going on in your lives, and how would you help somebody out there who's thinking like, I want to do that too, navigate the bravery, the naivete?
Naivete.
We just wanted to live like people. We didn't want to be stuck sharing one bedroom with 4 other people, or a house. We had 1 bedroom within that house. And we knew we wanted kids eventually. We knew we wanted a house, a home, a place to be. And we love Kansas City. We
but
love
like
our friends from
outpacing
Kansas
bills
City.
too was just,
Yeah, there was no way we were going to be able to do it if we just continued our lives in the city.
and we'd both been working for ourselves since like college.
Yeah.
So we were used to like the like boom and bust sort of like incomes, and like got used to living on very little, and then yeah, it just felt like we were like perpetually stuck, like almost like a stasis or a purgatory.
I thought you guys were going to plug the book. That was a pretty good
Oh,
opportunity.
yeah.
Well, I was
How does
thinking,
someone break out of the normal life?
Yeah. Well, I did write a book on that.
Should we pull it out?
Yes. Okay.
They brought us a gift.
So, but I mean, you literally wrote this book basically for all those friends who were saying like, come on.
Yeah, I
Frank's going to lose it.
Okay, there's a
Let's
lot.
Frank.
There's a lot of dog hair that is woven in with love in this bear. I'm
Come
so
on, we
sorry.
have a
I know
massive
you
dog.
do. I
You
know.
actually
My life
made
is
this?
all
Like,
dog
you-
hair.
Yeah, yeah. I've never made a teddy bear before, as you can maybe see. The ears.
See, that is so amazing.
I
don't have any eyes.
yeah, they
I love
were
that.
they
They
ended up
fell
being
out.
a choking hazard.
Yeah,
so.
I
Yeah,
didn't
good
want her
call.
to choke.
That's so cute. We're going to be like, Frankie, where are his eyes?
She's just learning all the body parts.
Oh,
That's
no.
really cute.
I
That's
could draw
amazing.
some on.
Thank you. So
Yeah,
you are
nice.
the artist, hey? Okay.
Normal to nomad.
But it's normal
now.
to number 2, no matter.
The site
The
is,
d-
yeah.
mhm.
What's that about? You couldn't get it?
Well, no, the URL was taken,
Yeah.
which is super
Did you try
awesome.
and buy it or no?
Yeah, but not the hardest. It was like kind of a.
Well, this was also way before even the YouTube channel, I think.
But yeah, I wrote it kind of to be the handbook that I wish I had.
Yeah.
So like as I was learning things that were relatively esoteric that people don't tend to talk about, then I would kind of like weave that like in like a mindfulness perspective or like
there's a lot of that in there.
Yeah, and I felt like
meta stuff.
Yeah, as I was writing it, I was like, man, I feel like people are gonna buy this and then be like, where's the stuff about living nomadically? But there's a ton of that. It's just like a lot of it is psychological.
Wow.
Like
Interesting.
like fear setting and how to like get through your like mental blocks and like how to like minimize in a way that doesn't feel like you're losing things. And
Okay, so I want to get into all that, but first let's maybe figure out how we got into this spiritual world. Did you guys grow up religious at all? Are you...
can we just be honest?
Yeah.
Okay. It was like
Of course.
well, I don't know how on like whatever, but it was primarily through like psychedelics, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
That like
That was
woke
our
us up
intro,
to
too,
the
or mine, at
spiritual
least.
world. Cuz like I grew up marginally like religious, but it never really like I couldn't get answers to why very well. And I need that to like trust things.
Mhm.
So that was really difficult growing up. And then like I don't know, like with marijuana, mushrooms, and then
Ayahuasca.
eventually ayahuasca, and then MDMA too, allegedly. It really helped with that sort of framing and like getting used to my own mind and like what to do with my thoughts and stuff.
That's so beautiful. So when you go into like taking psychedelics or any of these things, do you have intention behind it, or you're kind of like, let's see what happens, and then it just ends up showing you and revealing to you the unknown or these answers you were searching?
I'd say it's hardly recreational. Like it's
Yeah.
not just a fun
Maybe
thing.
earlier
like-
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then more and more, it's not that I'm like trying to get something out of it necessarily,
Mhm.
but I'm like very open to that.
That's
But
amazing.
oftentimes I'll go in with like this intention that like the medicine, if you choose to call it that, whatever it may be, is like, that's not what's on front of mind actually. Like here's this actual problem that isn't something you're even necessarily thinking about.
And a lot of times it's the integration afterward
Yes.
that is even more potent than
takeaway.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how you bring that into your life. That's what has taught me, I'd say, the most.
Is there a specific example you want to share you had, or?
Ayahuasca is what changed my life profoundly. I did one ceremony, or my first two by myself, and then we did one together. The first one, I went in with intentions of show me what you have to teach me, and it beat me up. It beat me up so bad.
Did you throw up?
Oh yeah,
Did you
and
not-
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the most wonderful purge, the most eye-opening, deep. It's almost as though I was interfacing with a friend who I hadn't seen in so long. DMT is released when we sleep, in our dreams, when we're born, when we die. So it was just such a huge, familiar relationship that was brought back to me. But
Like not novel information, but like a remembering.
yes, a knowing.
Mm.
So I finished that really hard experience and loved it so much that I went back 3 weeks later because I felt like I needed to be beat up again. Beat me up so that you can fix me. And I ended up falling asleep. It was just such a blissful, beautiful, exactly what I needed.
Wow.
And similar case happened with you when we went together.
I didn't like purge. Like my purge wasn't vomiting. Like there was nothing that came up that I felt like I needed to puke out.
We both had tears.
Yeah,
and
I was
tears.
sobbing.
Beautiful.
And like I came to understand the sort of spectrum that like absolute gratitude and joy and sadness are kind of like they kind of dance together, and that was really wild. Like I was just pouring tears the whole time
Wow.
because I don't cry. It's hard for me to like click into crying.
But it was the after of that experience that I think it took
Oh,
you
yeah.
specifically months.
I was so hypersensitive, like to energies or people like being manipulative, or like even I remember when we were driving home, like driving past a used car lot, and I like have built websites and stuff for used car lots in the past, so like I know that culture. And they have like all these American flags hanging above the used car lot, and that like dichotomy and like all of the like separatedness within the flag and like all of these symbols that I would never normally notice. They were like almost making me sick. And that took a long time to like rebuild the filters on my perception so not everything is so overwhelming.
Yeah, like you can't go back to life as normal when the circuitry in your brain has literally been changed.
Right.
Like you've remembered, as you call it, which I love, like what we all know when we're born, you know, and trained out of, I believe, anyways, or societally, like, this is the path you take, and then you're dampening all the knowingness, right? And it does. And that was a huge question we had with Mike, because he's had crazy drug experiences with tribes, snorting all sorts of stuff, and ayahuasca, and it is about the integration afterwards. So where do you stand now? You just feel as though you have a new lens on life, a new perspective, a new understanding?
Personally, with ayahuasca, I don't think it changed me at all, but it made me more honestly who I am. And it was like, I didn't like need to change anything, but it was like, it's okay, dude. Like, you're doing a good job, but like, here are some things to be mindful of.
Wow.
You know, not even in my life, but like externally, like corruption, and like where, like how fear works its way into our psychology, and like what we do with that, and how that may like manifest in something that seems like nefarious, but is actually just like a fear-based reaction that we have. So to like understand like where people are coming from, and that like something that I may perceive as corrupt is coming from like a fear-based response to some other stimulus that has nothing to do with what I perceive.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
It's so hard to explain.
It sounded good, bro.
Words and stuff.
This is the exact feelings I think we all know and have, you know, and you just verbalized it. It's like, it is either fear or love. And it's like, fear for me is just the absence of love. And it is a spectrum of things. And you say in your book, you lean on how to move through fear. What do you recommend to people, circling back to like, okay, I'm in my life and I know I want to do something different. How do you charge into the fear or dance with the fear? Let it help navigate you, but also embrace it in a way that's like gonna bring you to your higher calling and higher self.
The hardest part is definitely taking the leap, I would say. Do you feel that same way?
Yeah.
You can think about it, but doing it is the hardest part. Then you get into it, and we found so much joy in doing this thing that otherwise felt impossible. It feels like without making that huge leap, though, that I don't know how else we could have gotten out of where we were.
Well, that's kind of like, I'm more fearful of what I perceive to be the normal path than I am of the strange one. Like, I felt like I was so stuck and there was no way out. So like looking honestly into the future and like seeing myself still stuck in the same patterns,
You could see the future.
that's
basically.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Whereas like buying a trailer and going and living in the woods is like way less scary than that.
But not for me. It took me, I could not shake this need to be bringing in income, to be working every day. We're just out here camping. Okay, what do I got to do?
And we're like broke.
Yeah. We were
So,
living on our savings.
Side note.
Yeah, like it's not just like
Yeah.
we wanted extra money, like we wanted any money.
Yeah. It was so hard to understand that, okay, we need less money. We have no expenses. We have no debt. I couldn't break free from this craving, this desire, this programming to just hustle. And finally, once I let that go, we were so open and free and had so much time to do all of the things that we wanted to do, all the creative work, that then we started bringing in more money than we ever had before.
Because like we made the space to.
Yes.
Whereas when we were like trying to force it, I don't know. It's not that you shouldn't try and it'll just come to you, because I don't think that's necessarily how it works. Unfortunately,
it's not that we were not trying.
Yeah, we were trying super hard, but there were days when we were just like out, like 30, like an hour from any like micro town that has a gas station, and we have no internet, and we have like very little power, and we're working like for ourselves, but we don't have any work at the moment. So it's like, what do we do? Because it feels like you can't recreate or like do fun things because you need to be making money.
But this is all the programming of society,
Right.
right? And as you said, I think right in the beginning, like you just wanted to return to being a human.
Yeah.
Or just living as we should.
Right.
You know?
But it was hard.
Yeah. So how do you come up against that, or what changed for you? You said you had a shift. Was it just with time? Like you just started to realize, because I feel that even as a new mom who like took the time and was just with Frankie, there's this programming where you're like, okay, like, it's time to start doing again.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I'm a friggin' mom, you know, like.
Well, like you're crushing it. Look around,
Thanks.
you know.
Thank you.
It's like you could probably stand to do less, and that would
But
be
that's
okay
what,
too.
No, but that's
you
what
know?
I'm saying. And so, like, for me, as you're saying that, it's a reflection of, okay, so I'm always asking, like, what is driving me? What is my intention?
I love that.
Yeah, and this feels like my calling, genuinely. Like, so then that's the drive, and that's why I'm doing. But otherwise, I'm constantly like, I don't want to make that video. I'm not doing that anymore. Like, shut it all down. I don't care.
That sounds kind of really.
You guys probably shouldn't hang out too long, and we shouldn't hang out too long. We're like,
We'll start another business and they'll shut both the other ones down.
Right.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're in that headspace and me, because it sounds like perhaps we had similar programming of perfectionism and not feeling enough. And
Absolutely.
My parents are kind of cheerleaders all the time.
Yeah. Anything you do.
They're like, yeah, you did it.
Little
And I'm
son
like,
of God.
yay.
Yeah. Whereas I think I have felt the need to prove myself constantly. And this is not a very nice looking way to live. The way that we are living in our off-grid house, it doesn't look like you'd expect it to look.
Like we have to see our poop sometimes.
Yes. It's dusty because we have dogs coming in and out. We would have to really clean up for you, Eamon.
What?
I know that you love clean and organized.
No, see, the thing is I'm like really kind of weird about stuff like that. Like I'm like a little bit of hygiene clean. I like, but I'm okay with a mess. You know,
Well, one of our issues right now is we didn't build any closets into our house, so everything is just everywhere. It won't be like that forever, but you would like the A-frame though.
We would love the A-frame.
Yeah.
It's cozy.
But it just, the idea of success for so many people is the nice car that typically you buy with debt, the really big house in a nice neighborhood, a nice school, you know, that's just the dream for whatever reason.
And then like annual income is kind of a success metric too, where like if you're making X amount of dollars, no matter what you do with it or what you're doing or whatever, then
You're successful.
you're winning.
Right.
You got a high score at least.
Yeah.
You know?
So then I guess it feels like you look at what we've done and for some reason it still doesn't feel like people see the success in it. So it's hard to be confident in this kind of alternative path until we sit there and look out the window and just see the view and hear nothing, no
well,
traffic.
if we get into ourselves,
Yeah.
you know, and like lean into what we believe to be true and virtuous, it's like,
We did it.
yeah, duh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
But I'm sure there's still nights where it's freaking a blizzard out and
Oh, our
you know,
whole solar kit died yesterday.
yeah.
And I was
That's
alone
tight.
there. So it's not, yeah.
And
It's
I
not
was
like
out
I
of town
think what you
hunting.
guys do well is, from what I see, is you make light of things, right? You don't let it overwhelm you and become too serious. Is that an accurate
I
statement?
think
or-
we're very fluid.
Yeah.
We learned to be very fluid.
You have to be.
Mhm.
And like I'll yell like one scream, and then I'm cool.
Yeah.
Like I just gotta like
That's
let
like
it
your
out.
purge.
Yeah, I gotta let it out, and then
Yeah.
We
I'm
were
like,
just
okay,
talking about that.
and I
Animals
can like
do
stay
that,
dialed.
right? They shake it off.
Right.
They
Yeah.
literally get it out of their system because they were just being chastened by a
Right.
lion, and then they're good.
Mhm.
Yeah. So same
Us humans
sort of-
just bottle that sometimes.
yeah,
I gotta
All the
cry.
time. Crying.
Hmm.
Yeah.
bottle it up, and then like you catch yourself not being able to poop, and you're like, what's going on?
Yes.
It's like I got lots of stuck emotions, man.
Or
Body's just always talking to
worse,
us.
right?
Yeah.
Or some other kind of disease.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think something you, in one of the videos, you were like, babe, you're going to love them. He was watching you on the plane, but I had Frankie. So one of you was talking about like, oh, I store my energy in the
Oh, yeah.
shoulders and I store my
Yeah.
energy in my brain. And it's like, just to know that we speak in that same language of storing energy and knowing that our body is speaking to us. And
I also want to highlight, like, if people are listening about the drug use, stuff like that, that's an amazing shortcut. But I think you should also speak to the fact that you've had these experiences with breath work
Yeah.
and with meditation.
Yeah.
meditation has been that gateway for me, for
Yeah.
sure. And something I tap into every single day because I need to remember every single day.
Mhm.
Or I get caught up in the fear and the societal world, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like a constant dance for me.
Well, and I want to be sure to like to say that like flippantly taking drugs or like any compound, I don't think is the way to do it necessarily. like they're to be revered almost, you know?
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of things that can really like do worse to your psychology if your container's not right.
Yes.
You know, like I had some experiences where my container was not right and like ended up like floundering, you know?
I watched all of the content around your first baby, and I was so incredibly moved by your choice to share that as openly as you did. I understand why people don't talk about it, but how lonely it must feel to navigate that without having someone to guide you almost. And I think what you've done by being open is shown people, it's almost as though you integrated what you learned with ayahuasca with the fear and this darkness. And I know that it's not like, oh, and then there's so much light in this and we learned so much from it. And I know that. And I know that you wrapped up your video in a way of that to almost pump yourselves up and to show, you know, I know that there's like a fake it till you make it with all that as well. And then to come to this place where you're now expecting another baby, that for me is like the wrapping up and the showing people, you guys showing up, what was it, a year and a half ago or maybe longer with your miscarriage video, and now being this guiding light of like the next phase sort of, I think is just so incredibly powerful. So thank you for doing that. I have so many girlfriends who have navigated a miscarriage. And even as a friend, I think I learned how to support them in watching your video and hearing your words. I don't know if you feel open to talking about that time, if it's a chapter you want to have closed and people can go watch your content on that. But I also want to hold space for you if it is something that you feel open to sharing about.
I think that chapter will never be closed. I think it's very much always going to be part of our story. I don't think I would have, if I had miscarried again, I don't think I would have been as open about it. It was very painful. It was very embarrassing. I felt like a failure. But at the same time, one, we were kind of in it. We were telling the story of being pregnant, so we had to end it by explaining it. And two, I realized how few resources there are for miscarriage support. No one talks about it.
Us that there was so little. It's like, this is so common statistically. Like, why is there nothing?
Yeah.
And we didn't know it was so common because nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
So it felt like a responsibility in a way to share the details, at least to some extent. And
kind of do the thing that we wish other people had done.
Yeah.
Not that like anybody is obligated to like share or even talk about it.
Because
or,
we
like, pretend,
learned why people don't.
Yeah,
because it's
really
so hard. It's such a complicated thing. But it is so normal. And I wish that it was normalized more.
Yeah.
Do you think like spiritually or just if you look back on that time, was there external stress that you guys were going through? Like,
yeah. We can just, let's just mention it, but we don't have to like dig into it.
Yeah, go for it.
Like the audit. That's like one thing that we weren't gonna like talk a bunch about. But we were going through an audit at that time too.
An audit, we didn't have a roof on our house.
Yeah. And not because we didn't, like, just real quick to run through it, just so that it's like, because I think that's another thing that like happens all the time that people don't talk about. But we just got like flagged for an audit because Stripe had double sent 1099s, triple sent 1099s to the IRS. So they had like,
Stripe is who
it's a payment processor
that for my sticker shop.
Okay.
So very simple.
So it looked like we had made 3 times the money on your website than we had. So, but it was like 3 different 1099s, different IDs. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking it was saying like $10.99.
No.
I'm like, why?
No.
Okay.
Sorry. So yeah, it's like rather than a W-2, you get like a 1099 if you're an independent contractor.
Okay.
So anyway, that threw the flag. And like when the IRS person called us, she's like, we know that this is totally wrong, but since it threw it, like, we're just going to go through this.
No.
Yeah.
So they went through all of our expenses, which were as
It
we
was
were
like-
on the road.
But it was like almost 3 years old too.
Mhm.
Sorry,
Oh
go
my
ahead.
god.
So back from scamp days.
Yeah.
And I
So-
mean,
Then they classified us as vagrants because we didn't have like a
permanent address.
Yeah, that we were like spending enough time in. So then none of our travel was classified as travel because we were just homeless.
travel
So we
that
couldn't write off any
that we were working.
Yeah.
It was working travel.
like business
Yeah.
travel.
So we couldn't write any of that off. Even as simple as coffee shop expenses, where we went to upload because we didn't
Yeah.
have a hotspot. Yeah, it was criminal.
yeah.
But that was going on early in
Yeah.
the year.
And there's
It's-
lots of like that. I think that's enough detail to like
Yeah.
but that's what, and it's not like I think audits are like weird and scary, but they're not that weird and scary,
Well-
but they're pretty intrusive and like
Yeah.
not super just
And I
Yeah.
think
or
when
logical.
And
a
you're
lot of
just
times.
like there's so much to life. Of
Right.
Just like getting shit done as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, as a YouTuber, as
Right.
a boyfriend. Like it's just crazy that when when you get thrown something that is so detailed, and I don't know if you guys are into accounting and stuff like that,
No.
but that would absolutely send me
We had
to a
one
frenzy.
with one of our businesses once, and it like took me all summer to like resolve. And Eamon was just like, "How can should I make you another cup of tea? Like I'm not getting near it."
Yeah,
Like,
we
that
were
was
kinda
our
the
Brain
same
just
way.
doesn't do
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
yeah, we got it all resolved. And it
Yeah.
was
Not
no
like
big deal.
a huge deal. It just feels like
It felt criminal.
yeah, and like what are you wasting your time on?
Mhm.
Like the most amount like
They were going to have to spend more to pay the IRS agent than they were going to get from
Oh.
us.
yeah. So
It
all of
was
that I
sick.
just want to like mention that was like a hyper stressful thing.
Mhm.
And it's not because like if you hear somebody gets audited, it's not because they did anything wrong.
Mhm.
Like often, or it could be, but oftentimes it's just like a cursory, like
little glitch.
yeah,
We got to look into this, make sure
Yeah.
you're following all the rules,
right,
and kind of make an example of us.
and then make up the rules as we go. you know?
Oh, that is what they said. She said, as we're going through the audit interview, the 4-hour interview, she said, or I asked her, how does this work? How am I supposed to do this properly? And she said, I'm not sure. We're going to be learning this as we go. And I thought, what a system that we live in.
Yeah.
Seems like the rule makers should know the rules if they're going to
Mhm.
enforce them, but yeah, not so much.
We would really like to dive into this in if we got our podcast up and rolling
Yeah.
again. We'd like to talk about it, but it's just so scary. One of my good friends said her first thing was, "Are you embarrassed?" People just, I think, don't understand. When
Well,
they
and we
hear-
don't want to poke the bear. Like, love you,
Yeah.
IRS. Like, you do a really good job.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
yeah.
There's
Don't
just
come
a
for
lot
us.
to it.
But yeah, that
Mhm.
was a really heavy thing. And then in conjunction with building the house.
Mhm.
So like it was a stressful, and like it was so hot in the A-frame, and that like that summer was particularly hot.
Mhm.
And so you're like upstairs in the A-frame just like trying to get comfortable, and we didn't have a fridge, so we got like a
my
fridge because
gosh.
of pregnancy. And then it was like
It
yeah,
was desperate.
yeah, I mean we would have figured it out, but it was like
So as like I just trying to picture you pregnant, living that remote. It's like, if you have a craving, you can't just run out to the shop.
mm-mm.
No, but I think even in this pregnancy, I haven't had a lot of cravings, and I like to, who knows, but I like to attribute it to having a mineral dense diet.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So far, though, the only thing I had a huge craving for steak and milk one night, but that doesn't seem like that's too
Steak
crazy.
and milk, that's
Yeah.
kind of random.
Yeah,
You think?
Oh, like the
And
combo.
together, maybe?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
You swallow it with some milk, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you
Also
guys
some
eat
cookies.
very clean. Like you're not eating a lot of processed food. You process your own meat. You
Yeah.
you get your vegetables from
as
Like,
local as we can.
yeah.
But it's kind of because we don't have a lot of options.
Mhm.
Our drive to the grocery store is an hour and a half, hour
Mhm.
15 if we go
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any like sneaky things? Like, are you into like Sour Patch Kids or something random like that?
Oh, what is that? White Hershey's chocolate.
Mhm.
What's that
If
that
I'm
you
at a
like?
gas station and it's like
The cookies and cream one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
used
yeah.
to be such a fiend for that.
Yeah,
I
those are
love
fire.
yeah,
that.
they're
Yes.
amazing.
And
I
I
just
mean-
like crushed a bunch of those while I was hunting. Cause,
Yeah, I bet you
Because you
did.
can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have no rules against
No.
eating.
And-
I mean, that's what the world we live in.
Mhm.
Is a bunch of
Yeah.
yummy tasting snacks and
Mhm.
stuff. Trader Joe's. If we had one of those close to us, have you been to a Trader Joe's?
Oh, yeah.
We've been before, but I think you need to know what you want at
Yeah.
Trader. Like
Oh,
we
yeah.
were just like these
Totally.
Canadians, like, oh, go to Trader Joe's, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what do I get?
Yeah, like their hummus is okay.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't know about like
that's-
the little peanut butter pretzel things.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are unreal.
Yeah.
It's a store for the snacks. for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
The unhealthy snacks.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're not.
Those are so good.
Yeah.
Chocolate covered pistachios. We have a bag
Should we have
of
a
those.
snack break?
That was a nice flight that those took. But yeah, we've gone through different diets and stuff too, and kind of have taken different things from each of the things that we tried,
Yeah.
and kind of like worked that into something that kind of like an equation that works
Sure,
for
sure,
us,
yes.
you know. But it's not like we haven't found any specific restrictions or whatever that are super helpful, or
Mm-hmm.
but we try to eat like clean and as ethical as we can. And
We tried veganism for about 6 months when we were working on an organic farm in Colorado.
Mhm.
We learned so much about vegetables and on the farm and how to cook them and eat them. And it felt really great.
especially for like a short time.
Yeah.
But I got like, and I felt like super clear energetically and stuff for like a while, but then I just like couldn't maintain weight.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just getting leaner and leaner and leaner, and I couldn't like outpace it in any way.
Yeah.
For us physically, it didn't
Yeah.
stick.
Mhm.
We're no longer vegan.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, not smiling because I'm happy for you, but I know that was a long journey for you
Mhm.
guys.
Yeah.
You were vegan for a
Yeah.
long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to go back, and if we're not wanting to go there, but I just can't help but want to touch on you saying you felt as though the miscarriage was your fault or that you had shame, because I think it's 33% of first pregnancies, like 1 in 3 almost, that this
And that's
is the
what's
result.
reported.
Right.
Yes.
Like a lot of people, they
Mine
go
was
into
not
it.
reported.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And I have a really close girlfriend who just had one and is now pregnant as well. And I think that's the feeling, right? That you are at fault in some way, or maybe it's anger towards your body, or I don't know. I'm not sure, but I just feel like it's a really special thing to offer women as a woman. That experience for you and how you've integrated into your body in a way that is loving to you and allowed you to become pregnant again, right? Because you've obviously shifted that your body was like, okay, we can do this again.
And there could have been so many reasons why we had the miscarriage. Stress, it could have been egg or sperm quality, it could have been anything. I guess it's hard not to look around at these other women who have different lives and wonder why them, why me. It's just so, and there are no answers. So there's no
and
explanation.
you take your health really seriously too.
Yeah, so it was confusing. It didn't make any sense to me, but in hindsight, of course, this soul was not, it had chosen me for a reason, and I've taken so much into this current pregnancy from that soul and the lessons, and I needed it. I really needed to go through that for this, you know?
Me too,
Yeah.
for what it's worth, you know?
Yeah.
Like I learned a ton too. And it like gave me even more confidence in you know, and like what you can handle and everything.
Yeah, we ended up having to have the miscarriage at a motel because we didn't have the resources in our home yet that we were still building. So we were there with no support from my midwife at the time. We had ended up later calling an OB for more support, and it ended up just being a whole, there's just so much to this
Yeah.
story.
Like here's some pharmaceuticals, good luck.
Yeah, that
And
was
it
just the
like,
whole
well,
thing was
okay.
good luck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of went through it all together, and
And then not being able to like Google around and be like, what's normal?
Yeah.
Like since we're going through it, it was like I was having to kind of be Dr. Barron, which is like not a thing I aspire to or am good at, but like trying to Google around and see like what do we expect here? Like what's normal and like what is gonna like what should I freak out at? You know?
On top of the loss,
Right.
I know.
Like the
Right.
emotional, I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
just
there's
the
this
loss.
physical thing that's happening for you.
mm-hmm.
But I imagine what's greater is, or perhaps in tandem, that mental, that, yeah. that connection with the soul. And
there was so much.
yeah.
But it was like, well, retrospectively, to like put it in a like not exclusively negative, like it's not that it was negative, you know, like in the like what we learned and the experience that we gained, and like how much better and more grateful we are for like this time around, you know.
Oh my gosh, I just thought I was going to be so fearful this pregnancy. I just thought I was never going to be able to trust this pregnancy. But from the start, there were a few times where I got a little worried. And as soon as you stop having the symptoms, it's like, oh no, I must not be pregnant anymore. Oh no. And that would happen here and there. Instead of accepting the relief and enjoying the relief.
Like feeling good
Good.
for it.
Yeah. There were a few times, but just because I had gotten pregnant again so easily, I've had so much gratitude through this whole pregnancy that has carried, I think that's a huge part of why I felt so good. And it's just been such a wonderful, wild ride, start to finish. And I feel like this soul, it's not the same. It's not the same soul. And it's here, I guess, for different reasons, to teach us different things. And I'm so excited for birth. I'm excited because I have done it before in not the same way, but I'm excited to be able to go through a birth and have something positive come out on the other side. It's coming up soon, though. I feel like our to-do list just keeps growing and growing and growing before baby comes.
It's so beautiful. And the due date of this baby is the same or really close to due date?
They're just 3 days different.
Wow.
That's been a wild thing. We heard the heartbeat of this baby on the miscarriage date.
Like on the anniversary of it.
Yeah. And that was not planned at all. It just so happened. And that's another reassuring thing, that it just makes you feel like this is what's supposed to be happening.
How are you guys feeling about birth? You said it's coming up.
How are you feeling about it?
Super good.
Aww.
That's all. No. I don't know. It's a weird thing, because like normally if there's like a physical thing that like hurts, I'll do that. You know? So it's
You can't
like,
take this one, buddy.
no, I can't
Yeah.
like take this one on the chin. So it's like, yeah, that's a struggle. Like, and I'm cool with playing support. You know, like a lot of times when you're working on a video or whatever you're doing, like I'm totally cool playing support. But it's like a different sort of realm where like I can only be so helpful, and it's like I just gotta like keep my energy right, you know? And
Exactly. And that's a lot, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel that during the miscarriage?
What part?
That you couldn't take any of it from me? You were there with me the whole time, obviously.
Yeah.
Emotionally and spiritually, but
Yeah.
you couldn't take any of the
Right.
pain
Yeah.
from
Same
me.
sort of situation where like I'm just playing support. And at least this time we have more support. Like we'll have a midwife and stuff at minimum. So it's like, yeah, it's a little different. Whereas like with the miscarriage, like when you're like having tremors because of too much, I can't remember the name of the
Side
side attack. Yeah. Then it's like when you're just like shaking, like, and I'm like, well, this doesn't seem normal, but I gotta like keep my shit straight and not like show you that I'm scared before I like Google it and like make sure that this isn't like a real problem, you know?
I've been thinking a lot about how I wish that we had our grandmothers and aunts and sisters and just a huge community of women to help birth happen. But in our culture, we just don't have that. And I think there's a lot of responsibility then put on the dad to take over. And maybe that's not an
Well, in like the free
instinctual
birth world more so.
home
right?
birth. Yeah, I'm not really speaking to hospitals per se, but I don't intuitively feel like that's fair or natural. I mean, I think most women want the support of their
Sure.
partner, their husband, whoever. But it feels like
You want some woman energy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And like experience.
Yeah.
Because like I don't have a vagina, you know,
Yeah.
like I've never like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's normal, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a whole like new world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like it'd be different if I had like a lot of experience with birth, even in like the context of like animals,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
But like I've seen lizards give birth to eggs, you know, in person, and like helped with that. But like
I don't know if that's gonna.
yeah, I don't think it's gonna be super helpful, you know.
Yeah.
Trust me, Elsa. I saw this.
Yeah.
The lizard actually
Yeah.
it was massaging the back
Yeah.
here.
So is that part of your birth plan then? Are you going to be surrounded by women or no?
No, there's so much of me that loves the idea,
Mm-hmm.
that wishes that I had a tribe of women to be there, or at least maybe be there prior to, but also being completely alone for, I think I'll probably spend a lot of my labor time alone. So I don't know. I just love the idea of more feminine energy, feminine roles in pregnancy as a whole, between women, for women. And it's a little painful that that's not the way that things are these days. So instead, I'm so lucky to have such a supportive husband in my life to kind of take over. And it'll be great.
It'll be amazing.
I'm looking forward to seeing what my body's capable of.
I was so excited for birth. I was really looking forward to it, and I look forward to my next one, because I think there's nothing more beautiful and spiritual and like we're made to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and yet we're kind of trained that we need a lot of intervention to make it possible. But if you just
Fear.
surrender,
Mhm.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We're trying to stay as open as possible,
Yeah.
as fluid as possible.
And not have like
because-
a lot of it. Like a lot of people are asking about diapers or like all different things, and we're like we'll accommodate however makes sense, but we're not like this is the path that we're going down rigidly on any sort of. It's like we'll see what works.
Well,
and
because
do
we
that.
learn from people like you as first-time parents that things just don't go according to plan. They look different than you expect. So how could we, I don't know. I guess I've just learned from so many women and fathers who've come before me to have very few expectations.
Yeah, just be a little nimble and
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
But
ready.
also like
but-
embrace that it can be as beautiful and I don't want to use the word perfect, but just it can be that amazing as well. So
Mhm.
don't go in with that we have to lessen our expectations necessarily, because I do think if you truly surrender to the beauty of it all, it'll just be that too,
Mhm.
you know.
And I think it is perfect. I
Yes.
think it is perfect for every individual.
too.
For
Well, just
every
going
family.
back to
Yes.
the tragedy of a miscarriage, how beautiful is it that tragedy leads to that deep, rich gratitude?
right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like that's it's really a tough pill to swallow if you're listening to it going through this right now. But you know, same with cancer. Like your breast cancer was the most devastating thing that's ever happened, and now it's such a gift.
A million percent.
Like life feels so much brighter, or
Oh.
like those aspects are like you notice them.
It was
you
my
know?
soul literally saying, "Wake up!"
Mhm.
And what a gift! Like I'm waking up every day. You know,
Mhm.
it's amazing.
Do you guys have fear around the birth? Do you let that creep in, or is excitement the overcasting?
I think the fear for me is external. I think it's not mine. I take it in and I digest it. So if I can stay in my power, I was talking to a good friend about that recently, then I think the fear will go away. I think I have to work with the fear too. I have a lot of fear in my life, a lot of judgment, self-judgment. And I think this is going to be a really big opportunity for me to learn to not be so burdened by that. So in terms of the birth and everything, a lot of the fear is external.
Yeah.
I really feel like I got this,
You
but I don't want to be
do.
cocky about it either.
No, you have it. It's not cocky. It's a knowingness.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep going.
Yeah, we were designed for this.
Yes. I can't wait to hear your story. It's gonna be
I'm
amazing.
excited.
Yeah. I see so much of me in you when I was watching you were talking about putting things in a shopping cart and never buying them. And I was like, oh, I do the same thing. Or if I do, I'm like, Eamon, like, what do you think about this? Like, it's like $15. Like, I got, those like headbands. So
Is he like, just buy it? Like, buy the thing if you want the thing. Do the
Amazon. I'm like, do we need any of this shit? I was getting like a headband that like, you wash your face, and I have bangs now. So it's like really annoying to wash my face. And it's like a $10 thing. I'm like stewing on it. I'm like, it's in the cart. He's like, do you want me to buy this thing that's in the Amazon cart? Like, are you going to be getting it?
I've bought like 7 things since.
Yeah. And he's like annoyed that it's still in the cart, but I haven't done anything with it. And it's like,
that is the same.
I
Identical.
know. So,
but Amazon doesn't come out there, eh?
No, it does.
Amazon comes to your house?
Not to our house, but
to like a mailbox.
yeah, that's like off away.
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
But what I loved about what you then said was like, some of it is just the money, but there's this like deep, am I worthy? And it's, I think when I say these things, people feel like I've gone too deep but it's just the truth. And I really think if everyone gave themselves the opportunity to see what's going on underneath I don't want the thing, or like, can I get this headband? There's something happening there that we need to heal.
Absolutely.
Where are you at in your journey of healing? What can you teach me?
I'm not.
We're still saving like
my
the last
gosh.
little bit of conditioner and
Yes.
like I don't want to use the last drop. Like
what if
right
I
now.
need
There's
it?
something so beautiful in that. Like, we're also losing that, like just purchasing for the sake of purchasing, and retail therapy being so healing for people. And again, no judgment in that, but there's so much that I think we've learned from living with less. And you guys with extreme less, like, it's like, no, I'm not going to waste that little piece of conditioner. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much positive to that. I like to think anyway. But my relationship with money is a little, would you say toxic?
Oh,
Fearful.
that's not the first word I'd say.
There's a lot of fear in
Depends
spending
on the
money,
context.
in wasting, and
yeah. But we've also found frugality to be like hyper virtuous and useful.
Yes.
Like learning how to not need more money for us was easier than like making more. So like rather than trying to outpace things financially, like figure out like how can we stop spending so much. So it's not that like it's all bad,
Yeah.
it's become habit too at this point.
Well,
And-
it's something we don't like think about.
Yeah, there's not a lot of things that we want to buy that we go on and shop for because we don't have the space for it.
But I'm like a gear nerd, but I have the gear that I need, so it's like good.
Yeah.
And I like old stuff. Like when it's like well loved and I've had to fix it a few times, I enjoy it more.
Eamon, like if he
100%.
gets something new, immediately he's like a table, he's like scratching it. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
babe, like that
Looks
was like
too
a
new.
nice.
Yeah.
He's like, that's like
It's too
way-
fancy for me.
Yeah, he
Right.
hates
Yeah,
it.
I like it polished.
Yeah, but I think that's like a skill and a muscle we can all learn to flex, of just being happy with what we have. And it's almost like a full circle of when I asked in the beginning what you guys take away from your trailer life and what happiness means, or what you learned about happiness from living with less. For me, it was like that feeling of running water and, just gratitude for these small things. And I have these practices now where I wake up and before I remember I'm Rebecca Maroney living in this time and space, I just try to like say, wow, pillow, like that was such a comfy sleep. And like, we just expect all these comforts. And I think that's something that van life really taught me anyways. Is there anything else from your trailer life that you've brought into house life, off-grid life? That
Like
you
everything.
Yeah.
I think getting to know myself, getting to become friends with myself was something that I never had time for when we were fast-paced living. I really, I think a lot of people get confused by our isolation. And don't you get lonely out there? We see people all the time.
Like almost
too much.
when we were traveling, it was hard.
Too much.
Yeah.
And as early days that we were building our house, people were with us all the time.
But then people come out and they see rattlesnakes and they're like, yeah,
one and
yeah,
done.
that was good for me.
Yeah. But I got to become friends with myself. I got to know myself and understand quiet and what that does for me and my psyche. And it was pivotal in my life. I had never slowed down before, ever. And giving myself the opportunity to, it was hard. But
It was almost more surrendering too.
yes.
The forced, like, I feel like our life almost like forced your hand.
Yes.
Like you couldn't power through it.
And I think if I hadn't surrendered to it, I would be an entirely different person. Looking at myself on the back of the book, in front of the scamp, I would be so different. I'd be so different. So thanks. I say in this book, in the foreword, that this is the life that I never knew I'd always wanted.
So many similarities. I could have done all the things I've done without Eamon, of course. I am my own powerful being, but meeting him shocked me into the life that I also feel is mine, and it's been so fun.
So obviously you believe anybody can change it up and decide to live a more nomadic life. Do you guys think
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
I think anyone can.
Anybody, totally.
If they truly want to,
totally,
they can.
Totally.
Right? But do you think there were people in your lives that showed you that little entrepreneurial spirit? Or like, for example, like when I see you like with the wiring harness of the car out, it's like, how do you even have the balls to do that? I mean, I think in the video you were saying there was no real option. You got to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
But were you always like mechanically inclined? Was your dad helping you fix things?
My
Perhaps
dad's a
the word is were
nerd
you
too.
always curious?
Or curious enough to give it a go?
Yeah, that for sure.
You have come so far too.
Yeah. Just by trying stuff, you know.
And the necessity of being self-reliant.
Yeah. And I don't like having to lean on, like if I didn't have the foresight to like know what might go wrong, then having to like call somebody and it's like, hey, this thing that was like totally forecastable that I didn't see coming, I screwed that up, so can you come help? Like I don't love that. So I try to like stay ahead of it to the best of my ability, which is like not totally possible. But yeah, with like the mechanical stuff,
I just
guess,
think people think that's intimidating, right? It's like, sure, I can figure out water. Sure, I can figure out solar. But then, like, what happens if it breaks?
Well, it was all like other people figured it out first.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just another people.
Yeah, I love that. It's so simple.
And like all the rules were written by other people too. So like, they may not be perfect.
And I think people put themselves in this identity of like, no, I don't. Like you do this all the time.
I was just saying to Amy.
Right?
Yesterday.
Oh, babe, the drawer's broken. Like automatically, like not even I'm going to look at how the hinge is designed or anything like that. It's like, that's an Eamon job.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I love having that role.
Right.
No, but I think
you're
a big
capable
part
of
of my like growth this year is recognizing like some of that codependence. And also, I think I've stopped learning or being open to this idea that I'm just a genius that can do anything too. Like I went snowboarding yesterday. Like that's huge. Old me would have literally been like, that's the thing that Eamon likes to do. And I'll stay home with Frankie to make sure that, you know, he gets his play time or whatever. And it's like, I can play too, you know, and I can, that's a small example. But another small example was when someone was like, can you just like tie this around for me? And it was like a funky knot. And my instinct would have been Eamon's better at knotting, whatever, because he knows how to make cool knots. And I was like, whatever. Yeah, of course. And I did the knot. You know, these are small things that gave me so much confidence in my growth. And
I really hope you don't throw this back in my face of like accounting and emails.
Yeah.
You are just better at that.
No, baby, here we go. Maybe it's time to shake it up.
Flip-flop.
I do want to ask about your roles in your work life and how you guys navigate your relationship, because I think it's also really rare that we get to spend 24/7 together. Was it like immediately the trailer life showed you, okay, we can work together? Or did you physically feel like sometimes I would say like we're stepping on each other's toes physically in the van, but also just it's just such a tight space, like emotionally and like, you know, like it's
sometimes
just
a
so
spliff was like totally necessary.
Yeah.
Like there was no other way.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I know, but Beck doesn't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would make things worse for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I just have different practices. So sometimes
Yeah, I know, but then I would be high and you would be like, you're way too fucking high.
it literally happened the other night.
I actually don't smoke pot that much anymore.
I know.
I have a really good relationship with it, but
Yeah.
I was so sore after snowboarding. This guy's like, yo, take these THC CBN, which I never heard of.
Yeah.
You ever know what a CBN is?
I don't think so.
No, I don't know. He's like, it's great for your muscle. It's only 5 milligrams. I was like, dude, like I'll take 2.5. He's like, trust me, take it. I was outer space.
Yeah.
I think what I find
What is it?
difficult in that.
It's a gummy, like a weed gummy.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know what CBN is. What's
still doesn't
CBN,
know.
Andrew?
It was just that we were in different levels of consciousness and we were trying to have like a deep resolve in something, you know?
Yeah.
And I couldn't resolve
And when you're
it
ripped,
with you.
it's a little difficult.
Exactly.
Oh
And
man,
you're
I was
looking
getting
at me and your
paranoid. She's
pupils are
telling me about
massive.
things that like, you know, are way deeper than this one situation. And I
No,
was
and I
like,
just
this
said-
is not the time.
What actually happened was I said, this is not the time. And he's like, this is the time. I'm paranoid now. And I was like,
No, but you had already planted the seed of like, this is a bigger issue.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
So
what
just
are you
let
talking
that
about?
fester.
Yeah.
Hang out with that.
anyway, we're good. We're solid.
we
We're
are
here.
good. And actually, I think it was necessary.
It
move-
really impacted me.
Yes,
and maybe it was like because I don't really want to do weed again. Maybe it was like the paranoia put me over the edge of our relationship, and like it was really.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it a lot.
But I said to the girls, we were out, and I just said, I think it was so necessary for us to like get to that point. I think we're really good at communicating, really good at resolving in the moment and like not holding things, you know? But I think parenting is a new challenge and a new, we're like relearning who we are and then who we are as a couple.
And underslept.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a fucked up combo.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so things just like came to a point and we were with all of our friends and I was just like so overwhelmed. And anyways, it was really necessary and I'm really happy it happened because now we move through and we have, you know. I don't know, that was just our therapy. I don't know. Thanks for sitting and listening.
I mean, it's weird for me to like answer questions because normally I'm the one like quizzing people in conversations, you know?
Oh, so quiz me.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
Is so something that we've noticed, and it's hard to kind of navigate culturally, but the like utility in traditional gender roles.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that has, and like we've noticed that has more utility like in the country than it does the city, where like there are certain things that I can do that like it doesn't make sense for you to do, and vice versa, and I like. It almost feels uncomfortable to like lean into that at all, or like we want to like fight that and like have this, I don't know, but that's been like a dance to kind of like figure out and like find an equilibrium between and like feel okay about it, like going to like a more like traditional world here and there, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Have you all like experienced that at all, or like
Yes.
think about it?
Yes.
Like for our children, you mean, or
even just
Even for ourselves.
like
We need to.
in your relationship? Yeah.
Yes. I actually think this is like underneath perhaps what was going on the other night is we haven't been traditional at all in our roles. Like Eamon loves to cook and is very nurturing. And I don't know, there's just so much non-traditional things between us. So, and we work together in a very non-traditional way and we're like equally as involved in the businesses and stuff. So like him making a video, he could make a video without me, but we often do it together. So I think when we became parents, and then there is that probably instinctual, like the mom instinct is really strong and you maybe assume that role a little bit more. We just haven't had an example of someone who has navigated this without assuming more of the traditional roles, because in Canada you get a year mat leave as a mom, so often the mom settles into like not working and the dad goes out and works, but we didn't have that. And so I think part of it is that Eamon doesn't even have men in his life that he can talk to who get to be all day with the kid,
Right.
or what that feels like for a dad on that cellular level. Like that doesn't feel normal for him.
Like
often.
nobody
Like
can
just-
empathize
Yes.
with that experience.
Exactly. And my expectation around your involvement sometimes I think is maybe unfair for what is natural. Like I just expect that we are 50-50 in everything we do in life. But sometimes like the mothering just is way more on me. And then sometimes it boils up and I'm looking to you to be that 50-50 and it's not as natural. And yeah, so I think we're currently navigating that in a really, really real way of, yeah, I don't think I'm okay with assuming the traditional role. Like, I don't know. And neither are you necessarily, but we're just trying to find what works for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And neither are we.
Yeah.
Like I've had to really interface with the idea of you being better at making money than me. And that's been like the case, like full stop.
Don't worry, mine makes way more money than me too.
Yeah,
bro.
right. So it's like, so that's untraditional, right? And that was like something that we had to like grapple with and like figure out. Like I'm always cleaning the house and like trying to like do anything I can to like make you more comfortable. But Elsa just cleaned the house for the first time because she's nasty.
Well, you should see it now.
I love it.
No, but it's like, I don't know. It's just something that we've kind of like played around with, or not even played around with, but like tried to come to understand and like give each other as much grace and space and like latitude in it. But then when you like fall into like what's considered to be more normal, I feel like there's almost like a little bit of like guilt or something there to where I don't know what to do with that.
Yes.
You
And
know?
I think that's, sorry, I'm not going to speak for you, but that's in the beginning, you'd go and work or you'd be doing habit stuff. And then you'd come home and you'd be like, I just felt so much guilt that I wasn't home with you guys.
Yeah.
You know, it's just this, I'm so grateful for the unconventionalness of our lives, but it does come with like a unique new way of having to set not boundaries or like an understanding within each other of like what it is that we're going to show up and do every day.
Yeah, like I really don't think like our traditional parents, the males, if we're talking just traditional stereotypically, had any fucking clue at how difficult raising a family is.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like when someone says they were a single mom with 3 kids, like that is way harder than anything that dude was doing at his office or at the lumber yard, like tenfold. And I've seen that firsthand now. It's incredible. Women are amazing.
Thank you.
But culturally too, we are like the cultural like perspective on that is that like, well, he's making the money, so that's like the hard
he gets
thing.
the toast at the dinner party. And
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. And
But,
sometimes he'll even, when we do fall into like, I think some of the conflict comes where you're like, well, I want to step out and like have my work life. But then my frustration is like, but I'm a driving force of like making money in the work life, but I also am the driving force at home. And so when do I get like the playtime? So I had to go snowboarding yesterday, you know, like it is just about, I don't know. I love it. And it comes with a unique set of, and before the baby, we never had any conversations around it. We just were fluid. Like
I think
you cook, I cook, you clean. Like we were just so fluid. And I think we're trying to do that with parenting, but it's just,
Do you need more structure
with parenting, you mean?
between you two?
I think we need more understanding of of our feelings. I don't think it's more structure. I think like what was healing the other night was you were like, I actually really hear what you're saying for the first time. And I hadn't understood that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a big thing people don't talk about is like specific examples on how you would handle a certain situation. Beck parents at like a level like 200, right? So if Frankie starts crying, boom, I got her, I'm bouncing her, I'm doing literally like my back's killing and it's 4 a.m. and you know, and I probably would have taken the more chill approach of like, let her cry for a bit.
Yeah, she might chill out.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that is a big thing we're facing right now is expectations on what my shift looks like. And she doesn't like when I call it shift, but just for, you know, language purposes, versus you, how much attention and energy you put in. I don't think I'm capable of it. You would say, of course you are, but I'm just not. Like, I'm just not willing to like, and then now Frankie's used to that level, and I'm like, that's where I'm at. That's the battle we're having. And that's just being honest.
I know, and it is honest, and you should be honest. And
Sounds like parenthood.
Yeah. I think there was this naivete for me because we've been together for 13 years. We've always worked together.
We're kind of the same.
We're so solid.
We don't have
We're
to.
so
We don't have
solid.
to talk a lot about the details. We're
anything.
very aligned on.
We like pick the same things out for what we like, and
we wear the same clothes.
Yeah, we literally share clothing, and it's just like easy.
Like when people argue about paint, I'm like,
yeah.
You don't like the same paint? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's almost hard to relate to other couples sometimes because you're like, no, actually, like the foundation of my life is knowing that we have each other through
Totally.
everything we've been through. It's like, that is the best part of this relationship. And it's not that it's not still, it's just a new chapter that we're moving through, right? Like we have different ideas. And I think,
We could talk a lot more.
yeah,
about
we
it.
really
but
could.
like as Frankie gets older, it might like pivot and like the pendulum may swing, you know?
And I think these are the hardest months, right? Like
Yeah.
I think even if you this month versus last month, it is going in the right direction.
Yeah.
But it's something that I can't wait to hear how you guys navigate.
I want to reiterate
I can't
again.
I should have never said that.
No, I have women before me who I can talk about all of these things with, and I just genuinely don't think you have enough males that, and so hopefully Eamon can be that for you.
Yeah,
Totally.
It's
definitely.
just like, hey, like I'm feeling kind of burnt out but moms get that, and I can talk to other moms, and dads are kind of like, well, I go to my 9 to 5 and I come home and the kid's
Right.
already asleep.
There's
or
not a lot
whatever.
of ability to relate.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
And-
we're living a pretty strange life for our culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I prefer it,
Me too.
but it's
Yeah.
like less normal,
Mhm.
maybe more natural, but
Mhm.
natural and normal aren't the same anymore.
I guess like the people would say natural would be that the man, I mean, this is what actually, we're just going into the therapy of 2 nights ago, but someone there was like, it's not natural for men to be this involved in parenthood.
No, he was saying biologically their lower backs aren't meant to hold children all day. He was saying there's something about the women's hip where it's more natural to carry the baby on the hip.
Sure.
And I was talking to him, I was like, my lower back has been just destroyed, and I've tried the stretching and working out and building up muscle. It's just kills constantly since having a baby. And he went into that, and then I got high and I repeated it in not the right way.
Yeah.
And then all the girls were looking at me. The most important thing, after a full day of snowboarding,
Yeah.
Like I was
she was with Frank
Frankie
all
the
day,
time.
and then I got high and started saying shit like that, and that spiraled into our.
It didn't land super well.
Nah,
Yeah.
I'm glad we're here.
Ooh, yeah, me too. I'm like just reliving it and letting it go. And I hope it's like an honest conversation that people can maybe gain from. But yeah, we're human too, and we have our moments. And yeah,
What's
I think
cool
parenthood
is-
takes it and just we both love her so much. You can't, like, you'll feel it. You'll have that experience, and it's just, you just want the best for her. And I know we both want the best for her, and that's the foundation of where we're at now, right? So even when you're navigating something tricky, it's like, okay, we both are just doing our best.
Well, and I think we will have marginally different approaches too. Like there's certain things that I'm more relaxed about and certain things that
For
you're
sure.
more relaxed about. And like there will be tension there,
Mm-hmm.
you
Absolutely.
know? And that like, you're like, what in the world? Like I told you that that's not how that works. And I'm like, yeah, but it's kind of working. And like, you know, I think that'll be a interesting thing to
What's inspiring is the way that you've communicated about it.
Thank you.
Because I think that's how you get through this.
1,000,000%. Yeah. And
It's
you don't
the
hold
root of all of
resentment or
any issue
anything.
we've ever had is lack of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Or like communicating and not actually understanding what the person, or hearing them, or like removing your ego enough or your fear. It's all fear for me. Like it's, you know, I could say I'm angry, but it's like I'm afraid that we're not showing up in the best way for our kid or whatever it is. So just completely being honest, and yeah, I'm really proud of us.
You're crushing it.
Yeah, you're
Like,
very
look
inspiring.
around. I've never seen so many cameras.
Aw, thanks, guys.
This conversation's been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we real talk it up?
We should. I gotta pee.
Okay.
I'm assuming you have to pee just based on being.
You've
Go
been so
ahead.
great.
Elsa.
Yeah. We'll take a pee break and then come back for real talk. I think this one's really relevant because of the journey you're about to go on. So, what is something your parents taught you that you would not teach to your children?
Something that we would not teach our children that we were taught by our parents. This is so hard when I see the other guests answer. I'm like, how did you come up with your answer so quickly? I gotta think about this.
I mean, it's a deep one.
Yeah.
Take your time. Sometimes we edit them too. You know, we can edit this long pause, make you sound super wise off the cuff.
Well, that's how it comes across, as everyone is so wise. How
What
do you
I
do
struggle
that?
with is that had I had the same variable set that they did, I don't know that I would have done anything different.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like hard to, like in a completely different frame, like that. Our frame is totally different.
Yeah.
Our whole like subjective experience is totally different. So it's hard to like look and say, what I would have done different, because I don't know, because it's so like our life is totally different.
Yeah.
So there were lots of things like around like the importance of like education or degrees or like those types of things that I think from their frame like totally made sense.
Yeah.
And it was like a protective mechanism and everything. But then given where we are now in our life experience, I'm like, I don't know that I would like hold those things in such high regard.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's lots of other like educational things like that are more important than like a state education.
Agreed.
$1,000,000%.
Frank,
You know?
you do not need to go to high school.
Right.
Like, I
Yeah.
really believe
Full
that.
stop.
Wow.
We
Oh my God, my
joke,
body's reaction was just like, really? She doesn't have
Yeah,
to go to high
yeah.
school? Like the programming
Right,
is still there,
right.
right? But
like
of
we
course.
joke that we'll be like, yeah, you should go to school for a year. If you like it, just make as many friends as you can. Don't worry about your grades.
Yeah.
And then you can come back and do this if you want.
That's
you know?
cool.
But I don't know that
We'll see
that's
what
like
happens.
a practical way to
Yeah.
approach it. But
Exactly.
yeah, it's hard to think critically of that given like the totally different life that they were living. And like
1,000%.
culturally it was so different too
For
that it's
sure.
hard to like, it's hard to say there are like so many things that will be totally different
Mhm.
from our like bringing our kids or kid up.
Right.
But I don't know if I were them that I would have changed much,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, I don't think that I was looking for you to say what you wanted them. I guess the question did phrase.
No, it's not your bad. I
Yeah.
just am, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're just navigating that it's a completely different experience back then than it is now, and where your parents lived and who
Right.
they surrounded themselves with is completely different to how you're
Right.
living your
And
life,
like
right?
value systems, like it's not that theirs were like different or better or worse. It was just like different.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and they weren't always different. Like on a virtuous level, they weren't, but like there were certain things about having like, it would have been nice to have 3-car garage,
Mm.
you know? And I'm like, it'd be nice to have a shop, you know,
Mm.
like same, but different,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I think something I could have maybe done without was Catholicism. I didn't really need that.
Mhm.
Interesting that you guys share similar
I know.
people-pleasing tendencies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the worthiness, the shame.
Or
the
I even just caught you,
guilt.
Elsa, saying like, oh, but people are so wise on this show and stuff like that. Like, when you
are
listen
so
back, I
wise.
think you're going to be shocked that like you're
How
inspiring people.
well-spoken you are.
Thousands
Thank
of
you.
people.
I don't mean to knock myself, and I'm just observing that all the people you've had on are just so cool.
Mm.
But yeah, I feel like Catholicism just didn't really hit for me.
It can. Like some people
Yeah, a
find
lot
it
of
useful.
people, they get their, what they need from it.
Yeah.
And
Did you have to do like the Hail Marys in the corner and that?
He's talking about there goes a word drop. When you have to say your sins to
Yeah.
confession.
oh yes, I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily in a corner, but in a little room.
Eamon he didn't grow up with any religion.
You were talking recently about
Yes.
singing the songs that you'll just. I do the same
Oh my
thing.
God.
Black
and
songs?
he-
Wild.
No,
Oh,
the
not Black
religious-
Songs.
Black
They're
songs.
just programmed into my
Yes,
brain.
yeah.
Like that could be.
Were
used for
you
other
there
things.
when he nailed them to the cross?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like,
Mhm.
"What are you singing?" I'm like, "Oh, you don't know that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, really? Oh,
Wild.
yeah.
But it
Yeah.
like bubbles up subconsciously.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you'll be singing and I'm like, snap out of it.
Yeah.
Come back to me, Elsa.
Yeah.
But what I find so like interesting about that question we asked is, I think my parents did the absolute best job. You know, them raising me in Catholicism was exactly what they thought
Sure.
was perfect.
Yeah.
And me raising Frankie with spirituality or like showing her
Right.
meditation.
Mhm.
She'll be on a podcast in 20 years being like, I could have done without that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, my mom, and I really don't want to force it on her, and not that my parents forced religion on me, but you know, I hope that the practices I have show the power is within her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest difference for me.
But
and
she
not
might-
like the God that's judging
Yeah.
me. And, you know, one day's gonna. I was even at a funeral recently in the Catholic Church, and so much of it was beautiful, talking about the soul, it's eternal,
Totally.
like all these things. I'm like, wow, yes. And then it's like, and today's her judgment day. So let's hope. And I'm like, come
No,
on.
Yeah.
stop there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
eternal love that is God
Yeah.
loves.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not judging.
Right.
It's just waiting for us to love ourselves enough to,
Right.
you know,
But
anyways.
that's a useful mechanism for control though.
Yes, I know.
So
Yeah.
it's not ideal.
We could spend
Not
another couple
ideal,
hours
right?
talking about
Yeah.
it, but yeah. Okay, the flip side of this one is, how do you define intelligence?
These are so fun.
Yeah. Do we have a real talk?
Should we just do a quick? Yeah, they can have one of these. We have two, I think.
Okay, amazing.
Cool.
And we'll send you lots of tea. But yeah, shout out to RealTalk. It's our tea company and the newest card game that we just launched. So every single order goes out with a card, but then now we have the full deck with the stand, so you can leave it on your coffee table.
Especially when like it's sort of difficult to navigate deep conversation. Like we were on a family trip with my family and we'd spent a long time together. So I think at that point you've kind of already had the conversations, and we just pulled them out at dinner one night. It was so fun. We were like talking about, some of them aren't as deep. They're fun. They're like, what would you rename yourself? And
You got 2 deep ones.
Yeah, sorry.
I love it.
But there's a lot of fun, like,
Hey, your dad knew an answer right away.
Yeah, my dad was like surprisingly on it with everything. He was so open and fun, and yeah, it was great.
Well, I'm impressed because it's not often that I hear a question that like I really have to cook on before I even have like an inkling of something.
How would we define intelligence? A way that I know people are intelligent is when they're witty. This is not exactly how I define it, but I'm so in awe of witty people because you don't just get there by being silly, even though the wit can be very silly. You're so witty.
No, thanks.
You're so intelligent. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of knowledge behind that type of humor that I really respect and wish that I had.
I love that answer.
I love it too.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I'll sidestep it again with too many words. I feel like it's subjective. Like everybody has, or like most everybody has something that they have like supreme intelligence in. I feel like with a lot of our cultural prescription for like how you're supposed to do things and everything, like within school, we like say that people aren't like good at learning and you're not good at math, but oftentimes it's just like everything is wrong for that person. So I think a lot more of us are like super intelligent than we give ourselves credit for.
Yes.
Which like I think of myself as like pretty stupid, but I can figure out like a whole lot of things.
Likewise.
You know?
And growing up, I had the identity of you're not smart.
Right.
Right? Because I was not good at reading. I'm not good at math.
And my
I'm
grades
not good
were
at spelling.
shitty. So it's like,
Yeah.
you're not smart, but it's like, well, I can figure stuff out just like anybody else.
Exactly.
So I think that is like a hard thing to work through if you're not like normal intelligent, like you didn't do super well in school. There's probably something that you would excel at. And I think
there's most definitely something.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's my goal as a parent, is to nurture what Frankie naturally gravitates towards and not make her feel as though the other things are more valuable because we say they are.
It's so cool too. She's got such a mechanical brain. Like if she was here, she would be obsessed with like this pivot arm, right?
Cool.
She'd be like, or the little screws on the back of the toy. Like it's I'm starting to see it. I'm like, yeah, girl.
It's gotta be so fun.
Yeah.
So fun. It's so fun.
I'm excited to see like what remix we get.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, you know what's wild is how many possibilities of the babies Elsa and Barron can make.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're reproducing, maybe fact check, hundreds of thousands of sperm every day, right? And then it's got to be this perfect combo, and then all of a sudden you get this soul that enters that body.
Right.
It's really wild.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like, it's unreal. It's like the most, well, I don't know, most normal natural thing, but it's like the most foreign, alien, wild.
Yeah, right.
Like
supernatural thing.
Yeah, right. Totally. That's the perfect word.
Yeah.
So how are you going to name it?
They're not going to drop the name on the pod.
Well, do you have like a bucket, or do you know the name already?
We have one that we've been stuck on for a long time.
Oh,
for years, yeah.
And it's still sticking?
Nothing else.
Because we had one that we loved for years, and then it was like, came time to name her, and we're like, oh, that's not it.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's funny. Like, if
I'm
we
open to
had
that.
her- Yeah.
Yeah, right. We've been waiting for a name to come to us that is different.
Yeah.
Wait, so is it different than the first baby? Did you have that same feeling, or?
We hadn't. I don't think I'd gotten there with the first baby. I felt so much like the first one was a boy too.
But you obviously didn't know.
No. We hadn't found out.
You started to say something like if she would have come out different, then that name might have landed, or something to that effect.
With Frankie?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember. Maybe I
Okay,
was saying like if we had her earlier,
Sure.
maybe she was that name.
Sure.
She was.
At
Yeah,
what
just-
point did Frankie come to you?
People ask us this I have no idea. But it just was. You know, it was like a knowingness. It was like, oh yeah, her name's Frankie.
Did
While
you
she
see
was
her
still
first?
in the womb?
Yeah.
Okay.
It kind of became the top name slowly. You know,
Sure.
you're trying out different names. You're at the park going, Frankie, like just to see what that feels like. I think that's really important. I feel like not a lot of people do that with dogs.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
we do.
We do. Yeah, we just give them a yell and see how it lands.
Yeah, you got to.
Or like think of
You know,
nicknames.
they
or
let their
whatever.
kid name the dog Teacup.
Yeah.
And you're yelling Teacup in the park.
That's a
right?
problem.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, she feels like such a Frankie. It's wild how they just really do fit into that identity.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I put a lot of weight behind naming her because I wanted it to be the right name, and then you realize like it is the right name.
Yeah.
You know?
Like
That's how it's felt.
girl
for us.
names come easier
Oh,
to
Yeah.
because you can do kind of like a more traditionally boy name for a girl and it's super cool.
Totally.
Whereas boy names are like hard to come up with.
100%. We thought Frankie was a boy for the longest time, and we were calling her a boy name, and it was just really hard to find a boy name. Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
I know.
It is interesting.
I guess because there's so many names, like you said, that are like really cool gender neutrally.
Do you have
Yeah.
siblings? I feel like Barron's a pretty.
I have a younger brother,
What's his name?
Connor,
Connor and
wow.
Barron.
which
Very
was weird.
Strong
then,
masculine
but-
names.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of.
I think
Yeah,
it is.
Connor
It
was
also
not as
means like
common.
an empty desert, which is not tight.
Fair.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
even think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look at you so differently now.
Yeah, thanks. Dan. Happy to oblige.
Oh, guys, I've had such a great time
Me
sharing this
too.
space with you. Thank
This
you
has been
again
so
for
cool.
making the drive. Thank you for
Totally.
being so open. Where can people find you? What's the channel?
Our YouTube channel is Elsa Rhae Barron. Instagram Elsa Rhae.
I'm Baron Link.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the book? What's the
In
website?
the book, it's normal to nomad, but the URL is normal, the number 2
Love it.
nomad.com.
Amazing.
But I have a digital version and the physical version.
Oh, cool.
So if you're
Amazing.
like out of the US, then the digital version works better. But
Yeah, or if you really want to truly support, I'm sure the digital version is more profitable now.
yeah.
He designed it as a digital version. So
Yeah.
it's got all
Yeah.
the links and everything in there. And
Yeah. And if you want the digital, I can send you one, like if you buy the book or whatever.
Nice.
I love it, guys. Well, thank you so much.
thank you.
All right, that's another one.
That was super awesome.
Peace.
Every day.